And we back. Okay, we finna just go ahead and start it off like this, bro. We're gonna talk about the jerk movement story, alright? I remember back in middle school, like 8th grade. This was when like the skateboarding style of like clothing and just skateboarding, like this is how it went, right? This is so crazy when I think back on it, right? In middle school, it was like a transition between like 8th grade and 10th grade when it comes to this. In middle school, like it was more about like Jordans, Air Forces and stuff like that. I remember like, man, I remember this shit like it was yesterday. It was like, first it was about Jordans, Air Forces, Air Force Jordans. If you had a pair of any of those, then it was like you was really stepping for real. See me, I ain't never really care about like the clothing. Like I wore like shirts, pants and stuff like that. It was always about like if you had some clean kicks on in middle school, you stepping. You feel me? You stepping right. Like 8th and 10th grade. I'm gonna start off with this. In 8th grade, right? In 8th grade, it was like, you know, the only person that wore like skinny jeans, the only people that wore skinny jeans was women and the white boys. The white boys was the only people wearing skinny jeans. The women and the white boys, those were the only people that was wearing skinny jeans around the time. You feel me? Like dudes was not wearing skinny jeans, you feel me? Like it was only like the white boys, which was if you was a white boy wearing skinny jeans, you mainly was a skateboarder, right? I even skateboarded before the jerk movement even came along. I liked skateboarding. I loved skateboarding before that even came along. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by I love skateboarding, I mean I love to watch it just as much as I love to skateboard myself. You know, a spiritual bird. So like around that time, skinny jeans was like not really in yet. But you know, you had different people that wore skinny jeans. I remember like this one white boy, he had like a peach pair of skinny jeans, my boy. Like he had a peach pair of skinny jeans. To me, they was fire. But to like other people of like my skin complexion, you know, the melanated community, you know what I'm saying? They used to make fun of the white boys and the skateboarders for wearing things like that, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, dang, bro, like that's how I knew I was different out top, because I ain't never made fun of him for wearing the skinny jeans and stuff like that. He already knew what was up, you know what I'm saying? There was about to be a transition between 8th grade and 10th grade. There was already about to be a transition. The skateboarders was already up on it. Like I was already up on it too, because it was like 8th grade going into 9th grade, right? I remember coming home from school and you know 106 in Park with around that time it was Terrence and Roxy or Roxanne. What was her name, bro? I think it was either Roxy or Roxanne, one of the two. Yeah, I think her name was Roxy or something like it was just. And then you know, and then before they came along, it was AJ and Free, and then it was Terrence and Roxy, right? It was around that time, 106 in Park, after school. It always BET always played 106 in Park like around like 4 o'clock, like 4 p.m. So I remember walking in after school and they played You Were a Jerk by the New Boys, right? And when I looked and seen that video and how they was dressed and everything, man, I was rocking with it heavy. I was like, that's clean. They got the Vans on with the different color skinny jeans, checkerboard skinny jeans, all types of different colors. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was rocking with it heavy. With and the New Boys, what was their name? Legacy, and was it Legacy and JB or Legacy and BJ? It was something like that. It was something like that. It was Legacy. I remember Legacy. And the only reason why I like Legacy more than Ben J. Ben J, that was his name, Legacy and Ben J. When I saw how they was dressed and how like all that was going on, they was skateboarding and all that, I fell in love, bro, because I was like, man, look how much fun they having. Like, this is the most craziest video I ever seen in my life. And that's when it all started. Like, I was dancing way before that, you know what I'm saying, because Chris Brown was real popular. And you know, I always rock with Michael Jackson, so that was like the main thing. And Omarion, you feel me? And I'm gonna speak on something about like all that after this video, after I get done talking about this. But like, when I walked in and I seen that video on 106 in Park, I was like, bruh, like it made me want to change my whole swagger. Like, it made me want to change everything. And it's so crazy how like things don't change until it becomes popular. It was always weird to me, because I always noticed that like something that wasn't hot yet becomes hot once everybody else start doing it. You know what I'm saying? So in 9th grade, like, it went from baggy jeans to everybody kind of wearing skinny jeans, wearing Chuck Taylors, wearing Vans. You know what I'm saying? And then what really be influencing, what I realized around that time when it comes to men, right? We're, most of the time, if the women like it, that's when they start wearing it. That's if the women start rocking with the style, and they see the style because it was different. So if the women start liking it more than the old style that everybody else was like pushing and wearing, once the women start liking it, that's when the dudes start trying to get on that because the women are liking it. You feel me? So it was like a thing where I was always kind of like ahead of things when it came to style. I was always ahead of things. Like, we was already, like me, I was already rocking Nike SBs and all that, like, before it even became popular for real like that. I even remember what pair of like certain Nike SBs I had, bro. Like, it's crazy. I had like a brown and green pair that was kind of tannish, fire, with the green Nike check sign, fire. But besides all that, right, we finna get into like when that started happening, right? Yeah, we like, I remember like first it was like the You a Jerk video, right? And then it became like a thing where everybody started having like the jerk groups. Like, you know what I'm saying? You had so many different groups from all over the United States. Like, all over the United States, from California to Arizona to down south to, and then it spread it all the way to up north. Like, it spread it everywhere, even outside of the country. Like, it was a movement. Like, and then everybody had their own names in the groups and everything. It was crazy. It was so crazy because it felt like it felt like an actual community. Like an actual community of like-minded individuals that we all did the same thing, but everybody had their own style. And then you had the producers and the people that made that music for that style of dance. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And then you had like, we would cyber battle each other from like different places. You will have somebody that would call out somebody from a whole different state, and they will put out a video. They will put out a dance video, and you would go against them, and then you would have to put out a dance video, and then most of the time they would see who did better with what. You feel me? Just like kind of sort of like how they do with rapping. You know what I'm saying? You do a diss song, they do a diss song. It's sort of like that. But in this case, it was still all love. It was just calling out different people, right? I even did it a long time ago. I called out some people, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because it was just like one of those, it was a cool environment because everybody kind of like knew who each other was based off of like the internet, you know what I'm saying? Because if you couldn't fly there or go there and meet those people, it was still a thing where nobody really was like super uppity when it came to, I mean, there was certain like, you know, dancers that was kind of uppity because they had a lot of clout and stuff like that, but there was a lot of different people that wasn't uppity, and they would tap in with each other through the internet. You feel me? Because I remember around this time it was Uvu, Skype, Tiny Chat, I think that was it. I think those were the main ones. It was Uvu, Skype, Tiny Chat. It was a lot of different like webcam sites. But this was like streaming before streaming, like connecting with each other like that, because everybody had like the names and stuff. Like everybody had their own style and everything, and everybody was tapped in with each other, especially when it came to that. But it was like the fact that like 9th grade going into like 10th and then 11th is when everybody literally was dressing like that. Like 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, that's when everybody kind of started really dressing like that. Especially 10th grade and 11th grade. That's when everybody literally started wearing camo shorts, because this was like, well, cargo shorts and camo shorts. This was like around the time where like Wiz Khalifa was popular, Odd Future was popular. Like I wouldn't say it was like their peak, but that's what like really started a lot of that movement, was just all of that, being an individual and just having your own style of dress when it came to the jerk movement, right? So when it came to that, you had us wearing like tube socks with the colors, you know what I'm saying? With the two, you didn't have to wear colors. You could have just wore some white tube socks, you know what I'm saying? Like basically the California style of dress, you know what I'm saying? It was like really bigger than what people really thought, because it's like in my city, people knew what was going on. Like people knew, like some people watched other, like the Rangers, Marvel Inc. And then there was women too that really got off. Like there was women too that really went stupid. Shout out to Two Tone Twins. I remember talking to them on Tiny Chat before. And then on Uvu, I was connected to a lot of them, like Icon, D-Spank. It was a lot of different people that I was connected to throughout that whole movement. And it was crazy because it felt like a community, like an actual like community for real. Like and then the reason for that movement was to really keep kids out the street and keep them from gang banging. You know what I'm saying? Keep them from being like, you know, gangbangers and stuff like that. Just keeping them off the streets, keeping them safe. You know what I'm saying? So sort of like how Tommy the Clown did when it came to Crumpin'. You know what I'm saying? It was just like that. Like keeping kids off the street, you know, keep them from doing, you know, being around, you know, gang activity. You know what I'm saying? That's all it was, for real. Just keeping the kids busy doing something that they love to do. Cause I don't care what nobody say. Gangbangers like to dance, and that style of like the jerk movement and stuff like that. Some of that, the movements, that was like Blood and Crip type deal. That was like Blood and Crip type deal, but they turned it into something that could benefit the children, the teenagers, even the adults. Like all because you grown, that don't mean you can't still dance. You know what I'm saying? I understand if your body it don't move like it used to, but that don't mean you can't, you know, get up and do a little something. You feel me? So it was like it inspired me, because I was never that type of dude to be around those like type of environments, which I still feel sort of victim to it, but it wasn't in that way because I knew myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew what I would and wouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? Because I still believe in hands. You know what I'm saying? Like these dudes out here, they have a gun because they can't fight. You know what I'm saying? And then that's messing up the whole thing too. These phones and the fact that like dudes can't fight is what's messing up the what I would say, like the I I say we need, like, if anything, it don't need to be no more guns. Put the guns up and put your hands up type thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's too many people dying from the gun violence. You feel me? I'm not saying it's not safe to have, it's not right to have one, because you know there's these crazy people out here that's, you know, doing weirdo type stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta, you know, you gotta protect your family. You gotta protect your brother, your sister, stuff like that. You know, you gotta protect them from the weirdos in these streets. You know what I'm saying? That's looking to rob, looking to kill, looking to steal guns for people like that. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like when it comes to a community of people that, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to see them fall victim to that, those type of things, is like, you know, it was always dancing or making music. Those are the things they usually do. You know what I'm saying? And even in that case, it was crazy because it was like one of those deals where it seemed like it was like a fight between certain things, like when it came to like if that was like tough or not. But at the same time, when everybody's rocking with it, everybody loved it. You know what I'm saying? Then it got to a point to where it's like, you know, you can tell when times change how people change up their swag, how they change up that. I always kind of kept the same swag because that's like part of me that I'm always gonna hold dear to my heart, is the jerk movement, because that really changed my mindset to a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like the California style. But it's so crazy because it spread it everywhere. It was groups everywhere, different groups. I'm talking about, I knew some people in Pennsylvania that was doing it, and they had like certain things where you like I realized that I was inspired. I inspired people to dance too, because like I remember somebody asked me to be they deuce, and what it's like, deuce is like, okay, if we was talking about like on a spiritual level, it was like having a doppelganger. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that dress and dance like you. So sometimes it be like that where you kind of notice your influence on certain dancers, and you be like, he asked that if I could be his deuce, or he can be my deuce. You feel me? And that's just another person that like dances sort of like you. That's all that is, like being somebody's deuce. You know what I'm saying? So the memories of it is just so crazy because it got real big. You know what I'm saying? They had people that literally did Dougie battles. Like, yeah, there's a such thing as, it was different styles of, people had different styles of Dougieing. It wasn't all the same. Like everybody had different styles of Dougieing. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, there was beef, you know, in that type of deal. It was beef, but it was like, it was good beef. It wasn't like we fighting each other type beef. It was more of like, it was good beef. When I look back on it, it was like, that was like the start of like me being like an individual, having my own style, like finding my place in all of it. You know what I'm saying? And like how I remember it, it's just like, it was like those were one of the best times. I feel like that was like a significant time in life where everything was just cool, you know, because it was more about having fun, being just a hype individual. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy, bro, because the music, the mixture of music, and how like it wasn't just about like the jerking songs, like the jerk movement songs. It was like the artists that came out, the rappers and everything that came out all in that time period. Like Mac Miller was even in that group, and like Wiz Khalifa was in that group. Odd Future was part of that type deal. It was like a lot, but they didn't really like it. I know Odd Future, they didn't really like that type of stuff. But now look at Tyler the Creator and all them. Look how everybody dancing now. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of like, I feel like when it came to certain things, it was like history repeats itself, just in a different form. So everything that was already done is just upgraded on a different level. And it seems like TikTok kind of ruined the individuality in dancing and what you should and shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it ruined the like because like you'll see a dance on TikTok and you'll try to do that same dance just like how they did on TikTok. You feel me? But there was also a time where Soulja Boy came out, and it's basically like line dancing. So it's like you'll have a choreographed dance, and then a lot of people will come out with the same dances on their YouTube, on their channels. But it was the style and everything that changed of everybody's outlook on what's cool and what's not cool. You feel me? Because like style repeats itself. There's still people wearing skinny jeans to this very day. They brought back the baggy pants. They brought back the baggy pants for sure. Like, but that is still like, that still is stuck with. Oh yeah, Lil B, the bass guy, was popular around the time. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those times where you literally could just be yourself. Like you literally could just be your wild self. You know what I'm saying? And there's still grown people from the Jerk movement that still do the dance. They still do it. Like you can look it up right now. They still do it. You know what I'm saying? But it's mainly California now. It's not like everybody around the world doing it. Cause like it's a whole different types of dances that done came out now. But California still holds like the gold for just starting that up. You know what I'm saying? Because there was like even battles where people would fly all the way to California. It would be like what they call it, Beast Coast versus West Coast. They used to, that was like literally the same thing as rapping but in dance form. And it's just so crazy how everybody used to like go and watch. If you couldn't make it to the functions and stuff like that, they would film the function and like put it out on the internet, so everybody that's part of the Jerk movement would like be able to watch and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a beautiful time for like dancers. You know what I'm saying? It was a very beautiful time. If I had to say like how my dancing journey started off, like, you know, I make music now too, but like if I had to say like what started off all my dance journey, I would say I was inspired by, let me try to do this in order, James Brown, Michael Jackson, Usher, Omarion, I would say, I should have said the whole B2K, but Omarion, Chris Brown, The Twins, Turbo and Ozone, Nonstop, Channing Tatum, that one white girl that used to dance on Missy Elliott's videos all the time. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. That one white girl. She used to go off. Who else, bro? There's so many different ones. I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head right now. Oh yeah, ABDC, America's Best Dance Crew. That too. Yeah. America's Best Dance Crew. Jabberwockies. Those, all of that. Fiction. Or Fiction. It was a lot, man. It's so many different. And then you got all the jerking groups that was real popular, the Rangers, and then you had Young Sam, Cliff Savage, ISIS, stop what you do. There was so many different ones. We are like, see, I could talk about this all day, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just had to like speak on this because I felt like I really needed to. That was a cool time. And shout out to everybody from the Jerk movement, all the OGs, including me. But shout out to all the OGs from the Jerk movement. Shout out to all the OGs. I love y'all, man, for even getting me started. Just, it's the fact that I felt like I really had a community when it came to that. I felt like I really had a community that of like-minded individuals. You know, all of us as a whole we were all different but the same. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's a part of something that I had to like present to y'all, because it was that the Jerk movement is always gonna be in my heart. Jerking ain't never dead. It ain't never gonna die, because there's too many of us still alive. We ain't gone, man. You know what I'm saying? We out.